Good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Sichamba Jacob. I guess wherever you're watching this video from, you are doing very, very fine. Okay, so we have been asked to find the domain and the range. So let's get A. Our A is right here. F of x is equal to root over 2 minus x. So to find the domain here, we'll simply get what is inside here. We shall say 2 minus x is equal to 0. So for x, you find that our x will be equal to 2. So the x value here is equal to 2. I've said so for x. This will come this side, it will be negative 2. You divide by negative, you find that your x will be equal to a 2. So now after getting that 2, you need to think. It's either you use the testing, okay? So I'm not going to use the testing. I'll just tell you the numbers that you don't need to get for the domain. So if we put 2 here, what are we going to get? It's a 0. It's okay. Now what if we put a number that is bigger? Number that is bigger than 2. We put a 3 here. We'll get a negative answer. Look at what I'm talking about. If we say x is equal to a 3, you see? And then we put a 3 here. 2 minus 3, the answer will be equal to negative 1. And we don't want a number, the answer that we're going to get, that will give us a negative, with a negative sign, okay? With a negative sign. Because with the square root, when you punch on your calculator, square root of a negative number, that's an imaginary number, it won't work, okay? It will give you math error. So for the domain, meaning our domain shouldn't be any number that will give us a negative answer here, in here, okay? So we need to think here. So what we're going to do now is now to test. We know that numbers bigger than 2 are refusing. Any number that is bigger than 2 is refusing. What about numbers less than 2? Our key is a 2, which is right here. If we put a 1 here, 2 minus 1, it will be equal to 1, which is okay. That's what we want. If we put a negative 2 here, what are we going to get? We'll get 2 plus 2, which is a 4. Square root of 4, it's a 2. So you see, it's working out. All numbers less equal or less than a 2, it's working. So we're going to say x is less or equal to 2. You see, x is less or equal to 2 is our domain. Or if you want to write your domain, you can write it like this: negative infinity and 2 there. So this is also a solution. If you don't want to write this, you can write it like this. This and this are the same. So we found our domain. So now we need to find our range. Our domain is x is less or equal to 2, or negative infinity, comma 2. So if you don't understand this, just focus on this. If you don't understand this, focus on putting your solution like this. Just pick whichever you want to go with. So let's move to the range. So for the range, we need to be very careful. So let me write our domain. Domain x is less or equal to 2. So this is our domain. What about our range? So for our range, we just think, what is the smallest value that we are getting when we put this, or we substitute 2 on x there? So the smallest value that we're getting a 0. So if we say 2 minus 2, the answer will be 0, because we have substituted there. So meaning our range, which is f over x, will be equal to will be greater or equal to 0. Greater or equal to 0. So whichever whichever value that we are going to get when we put this range here, we'll get the numbers bigger than equal to 0 or bigger than 0. Those are the numbers that we get. If we put a 2, we'll get a 0. If we put a 1, we'll get a 1. I mean, we get a 1. So from 0 we go to 1. If we put a 0 here, we'll get a 2. If we put a -1, we'll get a 3. Just so you see, they keep on increasing. So this is our range. You just get what is here. F over x is greater or equal to 0. All right, so this is our domain and this is our range. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you watch the video for B. We've done A. The next video will be for B. Make sure you search for that video. Bye-bye.